topic, and people have actually speculated about my sexuality as well, and I've never been a homosexual. Um, I don't have a problem with gay people, never have. Now, from a Christian standpoint, what I was trying to get at this entire week was that even since the days of Abraham, or Abram, when God called him and told him that he was going to have a land separate, or he was going to have a land separate from the family that he was with, and he was going to be given the land of Canaan. There was a separation there. Even with when Lot separated from him and went to Sodom and Gomorrah, they had a separate way of life than what Abraham had. And if you remember, even then, Abraham pleaded with God, saying, even if there is one righteous, he will save that one who is righteous, and he saved Lot. And from that time forward, there has always been a separation between what God saw as holy and the people that followed him, and then a different way of life. Sodom and Gomorrah was a different way of life than Abraham, and Abraham was separate from that. And then you see, even in Esther, Haman tried to kill the Jews because of Mordecai, essentially. And once again, there was a separate way of life, but they were still under pagan rule, and they were able to keep their laws intact while still being under pagan rule. Even in Daniel, you see the same thing. God delivered them time and time again, as long as they themselves stayed true to God's law, or to what God told them was right. And even though they never changed the pagan laws, as long as they stuck to what they thought was right, what God told them, or God's law, because Abraham was not under the law, but he was still obeying God. God kept them. I used to have a problem with gay marriage. I don't have a problem with gay marriage anymore. The Bible says not to show partiality as well in the New Testament. Now, if we're going to be fair, because there's a worldly system, there has been one, like I said before, ever since the days of Abram, where there was a different way of life than what God wanted for his chosen people. And then we got grafted in the New Testament. Now, like I said before, throughout that entire time, did they have the power to change the laws that they were separated from? No. But God still kept them, and God still got the glory in the end. So, with that being said, in our worldly system, which is separate from what we believe as Christians, I believe that under the law, that it's justice for gay people to get married. And I think that if we don't allow them to, then like I said in my statuses before, if a guy lustfully looks at a woman and he's a non-Christian, then we should be holding them accountable the way that we hold people who want to get married who are gay accountable, but we don't. So, and we're showing partiality from one sin over the other one. It should be all the same in God, and it's all the same in God's eyes. The guy who lustfully looks at a woman is no better than a gay homosexual. Well, they're the same, a gay person or a homosexual. And so if we're going to make a law stating that gay people cannot get married, then we should make a law stating that when someone looks lustfully at a woman, because that's God's standards and that is sin as well, and the gospel says that you're committing adultery, then we should make a law that we shouldn't be allowed to do that as well, to be fair all across the board. We should also make a law that people shouldn't lie if we're going to be fair across the board, because a liar is not higher than a homosexual at all in God's eyes. And I know that we've all lied. at one point in time, so therefore we are guilty as well. And that's my whole thing on gay marriage. I'm not worried about gay marriage because honestly, I know the end of the story, and I know how it will all turn out, and I just have peace in that. Now, one thing I will say, to be fair to Christians, if I'm a Christian and I don't feel comfortable serving you and you're a gay couple and you ask for my services, I feel as though I should have the right to say I am not going to serve you because that's against my religious beliefs, and not be sued or not face legal action. So, I mean, if we're going to be fair, be fair. Gay marriage should be allowed in the worldly system that we live in. We're in the world, but not of it. Even in the Gospels, I put the verses where Jesus says, render the things to Caesar, which are Caesar's, and to God, which are God's. So he even makes a distinction between the Roman rule, which is separate from what he was about, his new covenant. And we know that Jesus is Lord. And if he says that, then he's right there saying that there is a worldly system that you have to acknowledge no matter what. And so that's where I was coming from with that verse, as well as the verse where he says he prayed for his disciples, and he said the only thing that he really said was, I pray that you keep them from the evil one, which is Satan. And he said he prays that he doesn't take us out of the world, but that he would keep us from him. So there he's making a distinction again that there's this opposing force that is always going to be there until he comes back. Now back to what was I saying before? But that's essentially, and I think that's essentially what I was coming at from with this gay marriage thing. And I think that we do show partiality with some sense over others when they should be equal. And in the worldly system, I do think it's just that gay marriage is allowed. But I also think that if this country was built on religious liberty, then if you're causing me to partake in sin, then I will not be a part of that. And if you ask me to serve you and that infringes upon my religious beliefs and what I feel is right, and if I feel like I'm disobeying God in the process, then I don't feel as though Christians should be allowed to serve individuals who are gay. And that's where I think we need to really hash it out, because I'm not going to partake in an activity that's innocent, but I do think that it's fair for gay people to get married. So that's my spill. Like, if you're going to be fair as well on both sides, like, if a gay person knows that you're a Christian, they need to try to find people who will serve them, who don't feel offended, and they themselves shouldn't be offended when someone who's Christian says that they don't feel right serving you because you're in terms of the gay marriage or something to that effect. If you want their services and you're getting married, I think you should respect that as well. But then again, I don't think people should purposely do it just to make a point that they don't accept gay marriage. I think they should just do it if they really feel a conviction and they feel as though that if they participate in any type of activity, it's going to cause them, they're going to be a part of a sin. So that's my spiel on gay marriage and why I think gay marriage should be passed. And like I said before, we don't go around hitting people. We don't go around killing people who look at a woman lustfully or who lie. So we shouldn't be doing that to homosexuals as well. And that's my spiel on gay marriage. And, alright.